Hello and welcome back to another Router Gods video. My name's Humphrey, the ex-Cisco SE, and we're going to talk about something that can add tens of thousands of dollars to your paycheck if you're a sales engineer, solutions architect, and that is, or are, SPIFFs, S-P-I-F-F. That stands for Sales Program Incentive Funds. I don't know what the last F stands for, but we'll just go with it. Usually has two Fs at the end. So what these are cash money rewards, usually cash money. So it could be 250 bucks, could be 100 bucks, could be, sometimes it's a gift card, like a Starbucks card or something like that. In my career, I saw SPIFFs of 7,500 was probably the highest one that I saw. You can do these things and they will add lots of money to your paycheck. So yeah, not only do you get a good salary as an SE, not only do you get a commission and you have the chance to hit accelerators, but on top of that, you can get SPIFFs. And I've known people to get SPIFFs in a year, about 15,000 bucks. That's not bad. That's definitely good pizza money. So we'll talk about what SPIFFs are, what they are intended to do, the goals of SPIFFs, how long do SPIFFs last, and also how are they measured? How does management measure whether a SPIFF is successful or not? And then we'll also talk about how some offices treat SPIFFs a little differently. So definitely if you come from the US, so you're in the US sales office, it's much different than if you're coming from a, let's say, poorer country like the Philippines or Malaysia. Because if it's a worldwide company, SPIFFs are global, which means if it's 250 bucks US in the US, it's probably going to also be 250 bucks US in the Philippines. And I tell you, $250 in the Philippines goes a lot further than in the US. SPIFF program is started to help push a product and to push a product or a service. So this could be a product that isn't selling well. It's notorious for breaking down, for being tough to implement, for being hard to configure, and after you configure it, after you implement it, maybe it is causes a lot of support calls. Not naming any names at all, right? So it's a product that's just basically a piece of crap. And so the company is trying to push this product onto the market. So what they can do is they can offer a cash reward, let's say 1,000 bucks, and they'll say, if you do these things, we will give you $1,000. It will be added to your paycheck, or you'll get a cash card or something like that. They'll give it to you in some way. So what are those actions? Usually it's something like demo the product, POC the product. It could be something like demo it 5 times and then POC once. It could be a combination of things. It could also be make a sale. Usually it is also make a sale. That'll be included in there. And yeah, make a sale, demo it, POC it, talk about it, give a presentation. That can be easy. It could be something like give 10 presentations to different customers. Now, if you're a customer and you're watching this video, this can probably explain why at certain times your sales team seems to be very pushy in talking about a particular product that you have no interest in. For example, let's say I'm going to try to pick a product that, okay, so let's say your company is interested in refreshing your switches. That your switches are really old, you want to get new switches, and the sales team comes in, they do talk about the switches, but suddenly they start giving you a presentation about email security. And you're like, well, I'm interested in switches. I'm not really interested in email security at this point. And they go through the whole presentation of email security. And you may be wondering, why the hell did they just do that? Well, could be a SPIFF. It could be the SPIFF said, you have to demo this, you have to demo and present this email security platform 10 times, and you'll get 500 bucks. Just to give you an idea of what's happening behind the scenes and why sometimes your sales team seems to be pushing a particular product. Now, we did talk about the goal is to incentivize the sales teams to go out and talk about and present and push this product. And as you can imagine, the different internal teams, so you're trying to get internal teams or trying to influence them to act a certain way. And this happens more often with larger companies that have a broad portfolio. So if you're talking about a company that just sells firewalls, right? That's the only thing they sell. You might not necessarily get SPIFFs versus a company that sells everything. So if you're working for a company, not naming any names, but you sell cameras, you sell firewalls, you sell switches, you sell wireless access points. Maybe you sell 2 different wireless access points, 2 different brands of wireless access points, 2 different brands of routers, 2 different brands of firewalls, 2 different brands of switches. And now you want to incentivize people, your sales team, to sell one product versus another, or to push a platform versus another. How are you going to do that? You're going to do it with a SPIFF because, well, one thing that's going to influence people, money. Right? Money's gonna work. How long do SPIFFs last? Usually they last a couple months. I've seen some short-term SPIFFs of like a week or 2, but very rare, very rare. It's gonna be a couple months at least, could be a quarter or 2. And the reason you need it to last that long is, I tell you, if you make a program that only lasts 1 or 2 weeks within a large company, one, people might not know about it because they're on vacation. You're on vacation, the SPIFF happened, you missed it. Right? That would kind of suck. 2, people are so busy, especially today, right? Teams are lean, it's tough to hire people, et cetera, that you got to get through the noise. Your customers are talking to you, there's internal training, you're doing like 50 billion different things, and here comes a SPIFF in your email box and you just miss it. So they've got to last more than a couple weeks to be effective. And that's also how you measure them, is that you start a SPIFF, SPIFFs need to be measured because they're costing your company millions and millions of dollars. There's a budget allocated to this program. So as with any program, it's this big freaking monster that probably has a program manager, and not even going to talk about that. But it's a project. And this project has a budget, and the budget, let's say, is $10 million. And well, that's a decent chunk of change. It needs to be measured, and it needs to be determined whether it is a success or failure when it finishes, right? Did this work? Did it not work? And so how are people measured? Or actually, let's take a step back. If you're the SE, so you do this, you do the demos, how do you apply for it? How do you track it? Usually there's something like maybe someone makes a web page, and then after you do your demos, after you do your sale, you go to the web page and you put in your details, and there'll be an audit team and they'll look through it, and then if everything matches, everything's good, they'll give you the money. Or they'll put in the request to give you money. It could be something as simple as like a Google Sheet, or send me an email. In some cases, it could be maybe Salesforce. Actually, a lot of cases, it's probably something in Salesforce. Or if you have worked for a really it could be a smart sheet that you fill out. So you as an SE, you don't really have to do much usually, because it might be, your account manager might fill out everything. That would be really awesome. Also, depending on where you are in the world, I've noticed this in Southeast Asia, where the dollar goes a lot farther than usual. So in Southeast Asia, you can imagine that a $5,000 SPIFF in Malaysia is a humongous deal. Man, that's a happy day when you get extra 5,000 US in Malaysia. So in some of these Southeast Asia countries, there is what is known as the SPIFF Lady, the SPIFF manager, the SPIFF girl, the SPIFF dude. So this person is in charge of gathering all the SPIFFs, all the information, and then at the weekly team meeting, they stand up and they say, hey, there's this new SPIFF out, and then on this current SPIFF, person X, Y, and Z got it, everyone applauds and claps, and they also have a running total of SPIFFs. So person A has gotten like $15,000 so far this year. Person B has gotten $8,000 so far this year. It kind of makes it a real team event. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's awesome, and of course, the SPIFF Lady gets internal rewards from other employees for giving them the heads up. So it's almost like they get a little commission or bounty unofficially. It could be dinners and stuff like that. Could be, it could be cash that they're being given. Because think about it. If, let's say you're making 100K a year in a Southeast Asian country, right? Making 100K a year. And the SPIFF Lady has helped you get an extra $10,000 in that year. Are you going to kick down an expensive dinner and a bottle of, in Malaysia, you're probably not going to give wine, but Jolly Beer or whatever, right? Pizzas for life. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it because this person's gotten you a lot of extra money. And maybe as an idea for you, if you're working in another part of the world where your office doesn't have a SPIFF Lady, man, if you want to be a hero or a heroine, I think I said that right. If you want people to like you in the office, become the SPIFF Lady. Track all the SPIFFs. Take it up because, man, nothing like helping people get money. Okay, now the SPIFFs are measured by how many people do them. So let's say 50 people in the region do it, 100 people in the region successfully do it, and then you divide that up by how many total people there are in the sales force. So let's say 10 people do the SPIFF, they successfully complete it, but your field sales force is like 10,000 people. Well, 10 out of 10,000, not gonna work, right? But let's say 500 out of 10,000 do it, probably a lot better. You also track it by eventual sales. So did this product grow during that quarter or during that year? So if you do this SPIFF, and this product, the sales increased by 20% in that year, then you can kind of correlate or tie them together and all the teams like, good job, that's awesome and stuff. So that's how you measure it in terms of whether a SPIFF is successful or not. Now, another thing about SPIFFs is you got two types of SPIFFs. One could be open-ended, and open-ended means as long as you fulfill the requirements, as many people can get this SPIFF as possible. So 10,000 people, 5,000 people, it doesn't matter, as long as you fulfill the requirements, everyone's getting an extra $1,000. So, and I have seen those. More often than not, to kind of keep it from going crazy, and there's a limited budget allocated to this project, they will be closed-ended, which means the first 100 people get it, the first 50 people get it, something like that. So closed-ended means there's a number, open-ended means it's unlimited. Another thing about SPIFFs is sometimes they can be extended. So let's say when the SPIFF initially comes out, it says this lasts for 2 months or lasts the quarter. At the end of the quarter, maybe the SPIFF has gone so well that it gets extended for, results are really good, sales is up. Then you extend them out for another quarter. That does happen quite a bit. Also, the opposite happens. You do the SPIFF and like no one does it because the word didn't get out, it wasn't advertised well. It's just not doing well, and you extend it to get some more numbers and just to make it not look as bad. So that's a SPIFF, S-P-I-F-F. Some companies also call it a SPIV, Sales Performance Incentive, whatever the V stands for. But yeah, they are part of the sales cycle. They're part of the sales SE life, and if you can get one, it's pretty easy. Just my 2 cents is you got to make sure it's right for the customer. Don't push a product to tick off a box for the SPIFF if your customer doesn't care about the product. All right, Humphrey with Router Gods, the X Cisco SE. Talk to you later, and if you like this video, like and subscribe. See ya. Stay safe. Bye.